We're now learning that CIA Director John Ratcliffe met yesterday with Venezuelan Interim President Delcy Rodríguez. The meeting taking place on the same day that President Trump met with María Corina Machado, the opposition leader of Venezuela. Here to break down what this could all mean for the region is the Hill senior editor, Jesse Burns. Jesse, thanks so much for joining us. What do we know so far about this meeting between Ratcliffe and Rodríguez?
Well, it's notable because it's the highest level U.S. government official that we are aware of who has traveled to Venezuela following that U.S. operation to remove Nicolás Maduro earlier this year. Of course, this is a key place on the agenda for President Trump in terms of Latin America, his foreign policy at large to start this new year. And we understand that Ratcliffe sat down with Delcy Rodríguez for 2 hours. He was there with a contingent of security and other officials who accompanied him for this meeting. And he really stressed a couple of things we understand. He talked about the importance for Venezuela to crack down on what the U.S. describes as narco traffickers and other gang affiliates in Venezuela, as well as emphasizing the U.S. desire to collaborate economically.
This meeting took place on the same day that President Trump met with opposition leader Machado at the White House. A lot has been made of the fact that the president and his administration seem to have decided that the current interim government with ties to Maduro is the better option to lead than Machado. What could this meeting mean for the short-term leadership of Venezuela?
Well, you're right. And there's really no sign that the Trump administration is prepared to renege on its promise to Rodríguez, who was, of course, Maduro's deputy in Venezuela, to continue to stay in power until new elections are held. The United States has really not been persuaded at this moment to throw its support behind Machado, the opposition leader, despite the United States president having complimentary things to say about her. Of course, they met in the Oval Office, and she gave him her Nobel Peace Prize. But that really hasn't changed the situation on the ground in Venezuela. The United States has reached some type of understanding with the interim government in Venezuela in terms of oil production and trying to take control of Venezuela's oil sales there. And that is going to continue, it seems like, until new elections are held.
And on top of all this, Jesse, Rodríguez also gave her first State of the Union message since taking power. What were some of the key takeaways from that speech?
Well, I think it was interesting because she did seem to try to be threading a needle within her country. Going back to Maduro's reign, when he would give his speeches to his country, there was a lot of saber rattling against the United States, a lot of fiery criticism aimed at the United States. And we didn't see that yesterday. She did say, made a comment about stained relations, alluding to the United States, but also, encouraged the Venezuelan people to not be afraid of diplomacy, as she put it. She explicitly acknowledged that there was a new agreement in place for collaboration with the United States economically, that there would be changes and that there would be a desire for investment in terms of oil production in Venezuela. And so you clearly see her in a position where she is operating within the context of the Venezuelan government. Many of Maduro's aides and allies are still there in power, but she also is now operating in this understanding that the United States is really, to some extent, trying to pull the levers with the government in Venezuela.
I think it's fair to say there's still a lot of unknowns about the future governance of Venezuela, including when elections will be held. Is there anything we should be keeping an eye on in the coming days and weeks that may give us hints to that future?
Well, I think it'll be interesting to watch what senior Trump administration officials like Ratcliffe, like Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, all these senior members who are deeply involved at a very high level in the economic collaboration between the United States and other countries, and certainly the U.S. policy when it comes to countries like Venezuela, and also just the rhetoric from Trump himself. He has been very open about supporting Delcy Rodríguez, the interim president, and so watching to see if that support changes at all, if his tone on her changes. He had a call with her this week, and he was very complimentary, praising her and her leadership in the interim government there in Venezuela. And we'll see if that continues, or if he does try to turn the page by throwing his support behind someone like Machado in the months to come.
More to come. We'll be keeping an eye on all of it. Jesse Burns, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.